The old man who died of ice poisoning had a gold coin in his mouth. He wasn't looking to leave an inheritance for his family. Instead, it's like insuring one's own corpse. The legend goes that a dying person bites a gold nugget. That proves he did not die of natural causes. Conversely, the more severe the bite, the stronger the resentment of the deceased. And this is where a mysterious organization will appear. While driving away the resentful gold, it also caught the tail. White hair is the head of the mysterious organization. Strong intelligence capabilities. The truth about the man's murder was found the very next day. It was fierce, but the other party wasn't acting recklessly. It turns out he was acting on the orders of come and clean up the flower stains around you. He hid alone under the bridge. He was merely repenting for the father-in-law he had just killed. He didn't know how to face his wife and children. The white cat also knew the difficulties of being a samurai, and this time, he persuaded the man to go back. They also wanted to rescue the real big tiger behind the scenes. The man also realized it was time for him to go back and report, but not long after leaving town. He was intercepted by a group of convoys. The other side was none other than the 3 top experts sent by the troop leader. They just said, adults, times have changed. The man never expected this. Why was I murdered? To silence me? Fortunately, the mysterious organization never gave up on him. Instead, it saved his life. In this, Yorizuya, they were ostensibly helping their neighbors. Ordinary people who solve problems. Behind the scenes, they controlled the entire country's intelligence network, and the white-haired man also knew the whole truth. It turns out the streamer is actually the real flower merchant. He simply fabricated charges. It was fixed on your father-in-law. This is how this cup of wine was made. At this point, the male protagonist completely broke down. All the hard work I've done for my superiors. The result was that casting a curse led to he vowed to kill the 3 masters to avenge his father-in-law. But now, severely injured, he is unable to participate. This operation, but leading everyone into the city and infiltrating the mansion. Perhaps this is his only way to redeem himself now. And so the man embarked on his path of revenge. Even when passing by my house, he was speechless as he tried to see his wife one last time. And the eldest brother even said, his whereabouts as a living person must not be revealed. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Thinking of my wife's smiling face, Raizo became even more determined in his beliefs. Their meticulous arrangements, good battles in each area, unaware bamboo forest. The sound of pigs being slaughtered instantly came to mind. The girl's kite string, able to silently eliminate the enemy. Card player waiting at the door. The incident involving the man with the pistol was handled cleanly and efficiently. Everything is progressing as planned. The eldest white cat was the most pretentious. They actually used a single piece of gold foil to kill the enemy. Sleeping friends. I have to say, this packaging is so good. I was immediately everyone died. But the only thing missing was the trace of the original owner. And in the secret passage, the lord had already fled with his pistol. Just when he thought he was finally safe. Little did he know that the warrior was waiting for him. The man raised his knife and fell. He then killed the troop leader who had framed him. He was free. Yet it seems as if I've fallen into a new swamp. Because now, his only wish is to see his wife. And reveal all the truth. Finally, I'll bully myself again. But when he returned, it was all too late. Originally, she was suffering from the double pain of losing both her father and husband. The maid ultimately chose herself. Lei Zhang simply refused to believe it, because of his loyalty to the country, but the result was devastating for his entire family. He thought of his father-in-law, who had taught him swordsmanship. My wife is usually shy. I should be the one who deserves to die the most. He is now completely despondent. And it is this world, White Mouse suddenly appeared, and told to enter the Yorizuya. Perhaps this is his best option right now. That place is specifically for dealing with behalf of heaven. If I were to die so simply, it would be better to punish more villains like the troop leader. Is there such a thing as a lightning bolt that would make you become the avenger of the night? Protect more innocent and solemn people like him. Lei Zhang's wife had long been aware of her father's presence before his death. This woman has indeed endured far too much. Afterwards, he took the initiative to apologize to the church. So this is the Avengers organization. They were protected by the church. Only then can one kill in the shadows. Compared to killing someone with a full chest, the church gained another layer of grandeur. That is revenge. If the deceased suffered injustice, then they will definitely be able to get. A bite mark was left on the side. The rest has been explained. The Avengers act in place of God Jehovah. The death penalty is something I deeply believe in. They believe this is just. However, a contradiction has arisen between current theory and the issue of Raizo killing Kosu without authorization. Raizo is not a member of the Avengers organization. There is clearly only one solution. That is to let Raizo. Sam Warrior joins the organization. Some even specifically allocated a portion. The prize for killing Song Song. Jin gave Lei a funeral. This made the already impoverished group very resentful. The Gambling King, in particular, had a very strong because opinion. He now even has to divide up half of his room. Give to the other party. The 5 people's next mission was to Jingin. However, during the execution process, Raizo also became increasingly depressed because he didn't believe he deserved to live. At the same time, oil fume cleanliness is visible in the local area. Customs official liked to work in the flower-lined streets. That's why she got the nickname, Pajama Nervous. But the cooking fumes know this isn't true. This is just a tactic used by the sheriff to lull the enemy into a false sense of security. The sheriff threw out a piece of resentment. Amazing, and the Avengers. He was usually taken care of by the sheriff. Both morally and logically, they should accept this task. What surprised them was that something unexpected happened. The sheriff's nemesis is now complete. Opium has harmed many ordinary people. So the Avengers set off that night. This time, Lei Zhang did not unleash the roar of the ice stream. He clearly knew he shouldn't alert the enemy. Seeing this, the Gambling King remained calm and took action. The two worked extremely quickly, dividing the task. Soon found the mastermind behind the assassination. Both are warriors under the same gaze. Raizo, however, was in no hurry because he knew Task completed. Yayan returned to the church with Han Hen's astonishing figure. But the priest and Hugh. It seems that his act of acting on his own initiative dissatisfaction with the priest calmly escalated the situation. He asked how to deal with the problem of opium. Therefore, Yayan had no choice but to accept the church's commission. The mission was completed once again, but there was no extra compensation. But on this day, someone with a strange appearance arrived and caused harm, completely broke through the bottleneck of the Avengers organization. Our prophet. Kamudo Sasadaita Luke Yuri Riva Il Masa di Alitan Kings. Your starry one quality sword. No hacker. The merchant mentioned angels who possessed both yin and yang properties. Naturally, this refers to the young girl in the Avengers. Of course, I rejected the cooking. However, starting from that night, suddenly a new kind of circus performance appeared on the streets. Residents of remote and desolate small countries. I've never seen such a bold and outspoken performance style before. The streets were deserted. The streets were bustling with traffic. They can't even control their own children. And on such a night, a pair of twins accidentally got lost. Of course, the merchant wouldn't let go of this pair of top-quality doorknobs to satisfy his perverted and outrageous desires. Originally, this is not something the Avengers should be involved in. But unfortunately, that night, the girl took the initiative to find the merchant, seeing the person who imprisoned him again. A complex emotion flickered in the girl's cold eyes. I remember exactly where I am. Give me all of them. No, please. Of? You're my only message, and I. My need to go home with a very rush. You are so cute. Love can still hold on to what I keep in my heart. All of them. Overcoming hardship is a difficult journey. Seeing that, the two insisted on leaving, so we specially took out a gold plate. That's all. The Avengers obtained the necessary items for the mission, although they were concerned about the origin of the sentence, sentenced with resentment, but at that moment is questionable. The girl put on her helmet. After some discussion, ultimately, they decided to carry out their revenge. That night, with the help of Yayan, the girl. The frail body put on beautiful clothes again. Soon the samurai and the gambling king emerged from the cave. Their main task was to act as bait, but unexpectedly, they met their match. This time, as for doctors, it also collided with the physique. A strong man who was in no way inferior to himself. The flying knife puts the flower cards at a disadvantage everywhere. This also left Samo's gaze with no opportunity to be used. So the gambling king smiled, risking his life to create a series of flower cards. His opponent's carelessness allowed him to succeed. Trachea punctured by a flower card. This is Lei Zhang's flying kick combo. The two escaped in the chaos. Only a raging inferno remained behind him. The doctor here also used all his strength, defeated the opponent, yet secretly tossed over the cage key. The trapped orphans were successfully rescued. As for the girl and the merchant, it seems they've reached the end of their road, a desperate act for this pair of star-crossed lovers. How could the merchant not understand? This was just a girl's complete revenge. He intended to kill the girl. As can be seen, this is the situation. My heart. I am the most beautiful. Move. Dr. Anuga. I've forgotten. You have so many. Time. Soccer. What do you want? Success. You can't keep me. You thought. You got all. I stack it. Final business. Humans use a perverse method that is incomprehensible to ordinary people, generously rushing towards death. Perhaps in his years of morbid obsession. Being abnormal is the norm now, right? What exactly is art? The merchant regarded the girl as his perfect work of art. And the samurai Raizo gradually, taking this path of deficiency, due to extreme remorse for causing his wife's death. Whenever I close my eyes, the wife's face will appear before your eyes. After longing became an illness, he actually embarked on a career as a painter. What is wrong is, Lei Zhang did indeed succeed. He will. My wife's beauty carried a hint of sadness. Expressed to the extreme, after any high society figures tasted it. All can be clearly. I felt the despair within the author himself. Texture, and perhaps, imperfection is, in fact, the broad road to perfection. I'm quite pleased with the cooking fumes. Lei Zhang has achieved such an accomplishment. In his opinion, the Avengers shouldn't always be focused on revenge. Instead, one should have a side hustle. This way, one day you can live in anonymity, to continue living under a different identity. But Raizo didn't think so. Until this day, the mastermind behind the opium scandal has emerged. It is said that Lord Liu from Chinatown has been investigating the aftermath of the Songfeng incident. This time, the pajama sheriff wasn't surprised. You can give him a tap, which is unusual for him. Lei Zhang Zhao Ma. The matter of hiding Lei Zhang in the cooking fumes is he actually always knew. Raizo was well aware that he had caused trouble for the organization, so he went to Chinatown alone. What Lord Liu has been looking for. It's Raizo who made horses. Next, Raizo will also witness the power of this life. The most outstanding person. Speaking of which, I have some good news for everyone. Recently, everyone has been using Shanyu, a second-hand marketplace, to sell their unwanted items, or even brand new and unopened. The price is very reasonable. I also frequently sell my second-hand items on Shanyu. Click the link in the search for Xiaoxian Slow Talk to find it. Just one glance. The mighty Sam warrior fell. The soldiers who greeted him when he awoke again. The 10 cruelest tortures of the King Dynasty. He was killed by lightning. Long. The exchange's nursing officer has something to discuss with Lord Liu. But despite this, Raizo still suffered enough. The rest of the Avengers. Rescue operations also began at this time. Xuanhu is a handsome man with an androgynous personality. He kept piranhas in his garden. Tigers and other animals. Lord Liu was concerned about Yang Feng. I have a lot of opinions. After all, I bear an important mission. Specially traveled from King Dynasty to Nagasaki, a small country in Japan. So far, we have encountered various setbacks. He hoped that the nursing students would do their best to assist him. But the nurses blamed the crime. The Avengers were pushed to Nagasaki. On the other side, Lei Zhang suffered greatly, but it was not easy for the Avengers. The team brought a message. Lord Liu may not be an enemy. The king people would never be Song Song's accomplices. There was a nunnery that was quite charming. Every night around midnight, a group of monks gathered here. At this time, Anri's host will also appear. Soon, a group of courtesans dressed in their finest attire emerged one by one. The monk was utterly shocked. Women always appear here. The senior beside him told him to sharpen his eyes. The monk glanced blindly at the stable airport. 2 comparisons. Only then was it confirmed that these were not women at all, but it was just a man dressed as a woman in Nanchang. Meiki Yanni. No need to break the woman's vows. The abbot called out the monks' names. He said it was the first time he was allowed to choose. It is permissible for monks to sell some items. Helpless. I randomly picked one, but they started reciting Buddhist scriptures right by the bedside. I thought passive resistance would solve the problem. Unexpectedly, Nanchang pounced on them like a hungry tiger. And what happened next? This will overturn the monk's worldview. The two were doing good deeds. On one hand, the monk was secretly informed from Nanchang. First of all, there are ears behind the walls. What if the monk refuses to go along with the corrupt practices? It will end up in the same situation as Nanchang. The monk also revealed a hint of something at this moment. The other party is probably a fat-burning opium. And this heartbreak. This was clearly a test that Anli was giving to the monks. At dawn, Nanchang then leisurely told the monk. Monks, regardless of appearance or age. Actually, they all resemble the place where I died. He had only just been moved to save her. In addition to this, Nanchang has also long been prepared to win a gold medal. Fortunately, it bit down before it died. By noon, the monks and their party departed. In Nanchang, the great disaster was just beginning. The host discovered unnatural communication with monks. He was infused with a lot of joy and play when the monk visited again that year. But all they saw was a half-mad, half-crazy Nanchang. Both of them were in immense pain that night. Meanwhile, Nanchang is also making every effort. A piece of gold left behind filled with resentment. After that, the monk left, limping. But it was precisely this matter. This became the source of Nepomasia's demise. The Avengers soon received this Han Hen. Gold medals. Liu Wenling, the imperial envoy, they also noticed this unusual temple. Then, these fake monks who were used to interpreting Buddha's teachings, punished by the Avengers. Only the host sensed something was wrong. First, move aside. Doctors and warriors, though they adhered to certain rules. However, the other party was unusually cautious. The doctor was never given a good opportunity. Current situation, Samurai Raizo pursuit office. A long sword shot into the vertical shaft. Lei Zhang then slid down the rope. The producer, who was later appointed, stopped just as he was about to carry out his revenge. The host, however, smiled and made a bribery remark. The unexpected kiss from Lei Zhang. Fortunately, Lei Zhang reacted quickly. Otherwise, we'll end up like Nanchang. But it is precisely the single cell. Imperial Enver Liu caught up. The two sides immediately misunderstood each other. Lord Liu recognized this as a low-level martial art from the Great Kingdom. Compare with your own number of underground escape routes. Absolutely different. Lin Zihao, who is known for his fierce and aggressive style, even if one possesses the power of weapons at this moment. But he was also beaten so badly by Lord Liu that he was powerless to resist. The host used sword energy to escape. But it's a great pity. There is more than one Avenger. It was the gambling king who killed the host. At that moment, an arrow suddenly shot out from the mist. Lord Liu found himself facing 3 opponents alone, so he spread out on the spot and left. However, after the nunnery was destroyed, the monk also formally returned the money, meeting again in the slums in Nanchang. But the Avengers didn't know. The act of eradicating nunneries, ultimately, it touched a nerve with some important figures. For example, this longtime exchange leader. He went to his superiors and reported the pajama-clad police chief for bumping into him. The pajama sheriff was annoyed, but they were helpless against their opponents. But starting from the second day, new troops are arriving one after another. Long-term Lei Zhang while drinking. They happened to encounter a monk who drank and ate meat. In fact, Raizo had always questioned the legitimacy of revenge. Finally met a wandering high monk. The answer you can get by asking, but it made it impossible for him to get away with it. In the eyes of this monk, people in the world, it's simply a matter of killing with money or killing with a knife. The world revolves around money. Therefore, there is no need to dwell on good and what does a mere murder count as? Enraged, Raizo paid the bill and left on the spot. On the other side, the priest was finally shown his true colors. Undisguised, the criticism was directed at the King Dynasty people in Chinatown. Even a normal one was given. Judgment without bite marks. This is tantamount to a direct and straightforward chest-filled murder. Yu Yan believes this goes against the church's beliefs, but he didn't refute anything. Instead, they took back the judgment and all 5 Avengers made the decision together. The gambling king is greedy for money. I don't care if there are bite marks or not. The cooking fumes remain silent. Lei Zhang briefly expressed his refusal, so the girl laughed and joked. To kick the gambling king out of the team, the argument ended pointlessly. Obviously, this Avengers team has no intention of going against their principles. You. You. Like. He. It is said that Yayan and the others did not want to be dogs. But there are plenty of Avengers who want to be dogs. In order to kill Liu Wenlin, the imperial envoy of the Qing dynasty. You can. That I got. You can. Nursing students easily won 5 gold medals. There were no bite marks visible. It is also impossible to judge the depth of resentment. He even led his pet monkeys. I also helped bite one. And from beginning to end, the nuns in the church all witnessed this event. The assassination will begin tonight. Raizo and the others wanted to find out the truth of the matter. At this time, Liu Wenlin himself was also seen. This is the first time both sides have had the opportunity to communicate directly. Unfortunately, another Avengers team has also firmly established itself. Locked on the two. Taking advantage of Lei Zhang's distraction, Liu Wenlin smoke and others also arrived at the Imperial Envoy's document. A piece of paper. How painful it is to die. Until this moment, they then understood why Liu Wenling had hesitated for so long, but it was too late. The Avengers landed a successful blow, but did not pursue Lei Zhang because they generally don't kill each other. After a brief hesitation, Lei will decide to save Liu Wenling, but as soon as they entered the alley, the enemy caught up with them. Fortunately, the Gambling King also provided timely assistance. After suffering a slight loss due to the opponent's anal penetration, both sides temporarily avoided this wave of conflict. Liu Wenlin's condition is a final burst of energy before death. His internal energy temporarily suppressed his injuries. Yayan insisted on going to the church. He still wanted to get to the bottom of it. For the first time ever, Yayan won the gold medal. Feng Budong returned it to the priest. He was testing the reaction of the Western Church. At this point, Yayan was almost certain. Long-term exchange leader nursing. The biggest culprit behind the opium case. He just didn't quite understand the nursing student's plans. The priest responded to him without any attempt to hide his feelings. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on, sir. Come in. Rooster Kula Tokini. Carrots Larumono. Mars Machino Motona. Colonel Cunning as Harita Kanet Simmel. Kashtadu Koto they show. At this point, the whole truth came to light. The Qing dynasty diligently conducted business with England. High-quality tea was transported. Porcelain, however, England did not have the corresponding goods to trade, so the one made in India. Opium was sold to the Qing dynasty. This led to the decline of the Qing dynasty's national strength. That's why the emperor specifically appointed Lin Zexu. Opium wars. The English suffered heavy losses, so they had no choice but to take smuggling to Japan's Nagagi. But then a newcomer set her sights on her. This triggered a series of tragedies involving the Avengers. However, the English were quite pleased with it. Secretly fueling the flames, and the current plan for teaching. It was a group of classmates protecting this madman. Further spread of opium in Asia. It was also during the time when the church in Yayan Lane was reporting back. Liu Wenling insisted on returning to Chinatown, but what awaited him? But it was only his subordinates who were all. The scene of the Avengers sent by the nursing school being destroyed. Even Liu Wenling was also attacked. He originally intended to die together with his opponent, but alas, the hero's end is near. Now he, even a weak Avenger. They couldn't beat them. Fortunately, Raizo appeared in time. The killer was driven away. Liu Wenling had an unfinished mission even until her death, and the failed revenge. Lei is eager to avenge Liu Wenling. So, under his urging, Liu also used his last strength. He bit off this piece of Han Henjin, the Avenger who caused Liu's direct death. Actually, he is a very despicable person. His status was even lower than that of a dog. That night, the church officially joined the group that was buried by Lei. Avengers severed ties with a single sister. In other words, from now on, Rei and his companions are no longer the nominal Avengers. He was merely a petty thief, who, in the eyes of the world, as for murder, it is indeed in the hands of nursing students now. Even white hair. The monks didn't quite understand his purpose in doing so. After all, nursing students are already incredibly influential figures. But the nursing student said that compared to money, opium is the true treasure for permanently controlling people's hearts. At the same time, late that night, a beautiful woman and an official appeared in the gambling den. The Gambling King stepped forward. His expression changed drastically after just one glance. He then continued to play the main game, but he always wins when he gambles. The woman and the official seemed to intend to let the Gambling King, but the Gambling King was anything but happy. Before long, chips were piled up in front of him. The Gambling King had no choice but to leave in a state of distress. But soon, the female official caught up with them. It turns out the other person's true identity was a nun from the church. The nun told the Gambling King, the fumes are a problem. He told the Gambling King to think it over carefully. Why must cooking fumes be concealed? Zalma, this person. If Raizo had not existed, did the Avengers end up like this? On the other side, the fumes and the doctor's all-night investigation. The pajamas were given to the sheriff. News. They determined that the opium was hidden in the lighthouse. But just as they were preparing to take action, the Gambling King raised a question. Facing doubts, Yayan didn't rush to defend herself. Instead, he took out a resentful sutra. This divination slip came from Lei Zhang's wife. Lei's wife entrusted Yayan with the task before her death. She must kill her husband, Lei Zhang. It can be said that very few. There might be a dead man who harbors more resentment than Lei Zhang's wife. More severe bite marks. But I feel very guilty about smoking. He made a mistake. Sucking on Sima Ji. That time, my pizza probably didn't have the same dazzling glow it did. He felt pain because you made him feel confused. They've all died. Why won't you give me anything? That time, you really got to my heart. I'm so glad I beat him to death. When Menglanyu saw that delicious-looking thing, my similar such a honor, delight, enemy. Only by sending it to the store can we see if he has it. Then you don't have a fourth one. You took me. Therefore, it is difficult to enter a disco. Ah, 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 wait, can his father do this? Lao Tzu. The cooking fumes before they even speak. She didn't know that Raizo was the woman's husband. It could be said that the cooking fumes gradually killed the client. It even caused him to die with his eyes wide open. At least that's what the cooking fumes themselves think. So, after investigating the truth of the matter, and after gaining a deeper understanding of the power of Lei Zhang, the lingering resentment of the 7 lifetimes of ghostly smoke even grows stronger with each passing Lei Zhang himself. But your mom loves to die. Already. Do I think I still give my soul? And this also became for the first time, Smoke defied the Avengers' wishes, but he recognized the need. It's not necessary to wash away every grudge. And the actions of the church. It made Yayan realize even more clearly. The so-called biting down carry out revenge. Perhaps it was just a joke to fool believers. Because true justice will never. It exists only in the hearts of those who can distinguish right from wrong. At this point in the story, the gambling king had no more complaints. The rest of the people had received much sorrow and so kindness. The squad regrouped, officially setting off for the enemy's main camp. They split into 2 groups. Among them, Yayan and the girl were responsible for solving the problem of the student nurse herself. Doctor and warrior were responsible for attacking the motherships. The patrol boat was completely destroyed in no time. What is truly unacceptable is the wisdom. This might be the first time he's taken it out. Asura like slaughter power. Soon, the garden was filled with dead bodies. Unfortunately, the subordinates who studied nursing were never just people. A large tiger with black stripes suddenly pounced, silently gnawing on the corpse on the ground. It wasn't until 4 o'clock that they discovered the 2 living people in front of them. A young girl's unexpected high-altitude fantasy. They intended to use circus acrobatics to tame this creature. But I never expected the tiger to be so wild. It's impossible to grasp at all. At this time, the cooking oil gently unfurled, and a cloud of gold dust drifted out from the fan. Just don't laugh once. The enormous creature was eaten away, leaving only bones. The doctor here was also shocked. He didn't expect there to be 2 snipers on the other side, but it was too late. Red Hair's anus nearly caught a spurt of hot blood across his face. Fortunately, the purification ritual of Lei Zhang provided protection. Lei Zhang's battle has become extremely passive at this moment because he only needed to stay slightly away from the red hair. There is a possibility of being sniped. So Red Hair confidently threw out the flywheel. But just as he was celebrating victory, an unexpected event occurred. Red Hair only discovered this when he died. A flower plaque was stuck on the flywheel. It turns out that the gambling king took the opportunity to interfere with the flywheel's Red Hair die. But his teammates weren't sad at all. He thought he could complete the sniping mission. Lei Zhang's final opponent was the white-haired monk. The 2 had different ideas from the beginning. The roads are indeed different now. Raizo, I learned Liu Wenling's 1.5-year-old claw technique, but it seems far from enough to deal with the white-haired monk. The difference between the 2 is also quite obvious. Before long, Lei Zhang was covered in blood. What left the white-haired monk speechless? Lei Zhang's Zanma wasn't there to fight, regardless of the outcome of this battle. Thunder Burial Stove Horse will eventually choose to commit seppuku. The white-haired monk naturally didn't want to fight a madman. After all, even a lion will go all out to hunt a rabbit. Therefore, he directly chose to use his backup plan. After the snake fell down, taking advantage of the situation, the white-haired monk kicked down the mechanism, but just when he thought everything was foolproof, the madman on the other side really has gone mad. What? What? Ah. Seymour, yeah, king of mother. This strike successfully shattered the white-haired monk's understanding. As for the cooking fumes, they have already reached the front of the nursing staff. Even on her deathbed, the nursing student was still fighting desperately. The last to share opium ratings with the alien ratings long-term? Then, unexpectedly. One slash on Kixie Festival is not to be mentioned. 3. His mother buried you without a doubt. You deserve to die. Dead slave entrusted people. Come here. The nursing student received retribution. As for the monkey he kept, it became the girl's pet. On the other side, the gambling king planted explosives. Copy the entire sentence about long-term opium addiction. Even afterward, the ghostly smoke still pointed towards the church, and the priest could only, smiling and pretending nothing had happened. Even the nuns in the church. At this moment, she also came to serve, heavily made pajama sheriff. The 4 Avengers returned to the place where Lei Zhang had been. Location of the jump. They threw that bitterly amazed object into the raging torrent. Let's consider this revenge complete. As for whether Lei Zhang became a great painter, in fact, he did not. Because the theme of Thunder Burial is never changed. His writing is always filled with sadness and the image of a desperate wife. And this is this the ending of the Avengers? Zhu, it seems to express a kind of justice that does not exist. But in reality, justice never truly exists. Justice exists only in people's hearts. If viewed from the perspective of Wang Yangming's philosophy of mind, justice or injustice. This is the reality of the world. Justice is only for the majority, a reflection of the hearts of many. Key feelings. Don't you see that Western teachings remain carefree and unrestrained? The long-standing ruling power has simply changed. Dragon Slayer. It is also possible that it will grow into a new evil dragon. Therefore, Yayan, who is knowledgeable about human relationships, only then will they continue to teach hypocrisy. Because he knew the sheriff wouldn't do this for him. It's impossible for it to be for opium. It's even less likely that it would be for the sake of so-called justice. Choose to break ties with the church. And the pajama-clad sheriff also deliberately pretends not to know the nun. This means he accepts the church's preferences. Therefore, in this Avengers animated film, those who live in a daze or those who can cure their conscience, they can often live better and more comfortably. On the contrary, it's like hiding a black horse. Unwilling to break free from the past self. He was still trapped in the past that led to the death of his wife's father. That's why he's been unable to be reborn in the mortal world. It's more like living in hell and being punished. Therefore, when he was finally ambushed and killed under the bridge. Actually, it was Zhu the best way to extricate this character. And the bridge arch. This is also the place where Yayan and Raizo first met. But whether Raizo Koma deserves forgiveness remains to be seen. Actually, it's not up to the audience to decide. It's not up to the author to decide. Perhaps the author needs Yu Angshu. There was no forgiveness shown in the animation. It takes courage to do this.